Welcome back to day 2 of Picture Perfect Lighting here at Creative Live on location. We chose this location because me and the good people at Creative Live, we wanted to choose a location that was somewhat difficult to use, but also had some basic things you would find on a regular shoot that you might find yourself into. So this place has some serious complications. Yesterday we spoke about the SWOT analysis, and the SWOT analysis of a location just talked about walking into a room and finding the locations, quickly glancing about the location's opportunities, or location's strengths, weaknesses, threats, and so forth. So basically the idea is when you walk into a room, you don't walk in oblivious to what's going on. You walk into a room as a trained photographer and you say, okay, I see this, I see the windows, I see the floors, I see the walls, I see some dark color woods, and basically that should give you a little bit of an indication of what challenges you can expect throughout the photo shoot, what tools or equipment you may need, and so forth. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that I've been wanting to teach for a long time, the way I'm going to teach it, which is the issue of speedlights, which, as you know, speedlights are usually a scary topic for a lot of people. I don't understand. Well, actually, I do understand. It is intimidating, it's complicated, but we're gonna make it super easy. I think if you just take a different approach to speedlights, you'll realize they're not scary at all. You can totally control what they do, and my wish for today is to really put you on the driver's seat and put you in control of speedlights. And if you feel like you need a little kicker of light, you'll be able to just pick up a speedlight quickly, turn it on, make it happen, and you'll be like, that's no problem at all. Instead of saying, no, I just want to stick to natural light because the speedlight would be too scary, too complicated. I don't know how it's going to behave. I don't know what I'm going to get. I don't know if it's going to give me crazy results and I'm going to look like an idiot in front of everybody. So this class, hopefully today, is going to be no problem. Speedlight, give it to me. Let me turn it on. Let me do this, and you should be good to go. I want you to totally expect its behavior, understand its features, and then we're going to spend the second half of the day doing some serious troubleshooting this location, creating some pretty beautiful images. We have great models. We have Kelvin. We have Amanda. So we have a great day set up for you. Before I start the beginning of the speedlights, I just wanted to do a quick review of, I know some people were asking a lot about this, the 10 things I look for when I walk into a location. Now we are on location, so I feel like it's appropriate to kind of go over this one more time. The first one was, I look for the brightest non-direct light. The brightest non-direct light means light that's going through a window or light that's hitting a wall, and then it's just bouncing around. So I look around the room and I say, where is the brightest light possible? Second one is, do I see any clean backgrounds that I could easily go to? The point of this list is for you to be able to produce great photos quickly without crazy amounts of equipment and do an amazing job. So to do that, you have to have some sort of go-to list. And the clean backgrounds obviously are going to help you get your message across without distractions. The third one was, do you see any natural light modifiers? Any white walls? Any red walls? Like, it just depends if you want to do a color cast. Also, things that could modify the light. What is the color of the floor? What is the color of the walls? Anything that you could modify or use to modify the light would be one. The next one would be surface characteristics. How reflective are the surfaces? This location is actually quite interesting. The roof, which we usually use to bounce light off, it's going to be pretty hard to use here because it's got a metal roof, and it's got steel beams, and it's got a lot of stuff going on in the ceiling. Probably difficult to bounce, and that's why we used it. I also discussed looking for quick glancing at the direction of light. Like, where's the light coming from? Just quickly glance. Where is the sun? Where is the strongest light coming through? Right now, the sun is actually coming through somewhere. And can't really find the sun. We're in Seattle. Direction of light. The next one is shadows on the grounds and on the wall. So if you see the sun or the light creating shadows on the walls or on the floors, could be a possible picture that you could take, and something that most photographers probably would just walk right through, and you may not, they may not see it, but you will, especially after this course. The next one is clean pockets of light. This works more outdoors. If you are outdoors and you see the sun going through trees and palm trees or what have you, it casts shadows on the walls. If you can see between the shadows, you see a clean bucket of light, that's where you could take a really great shot with some graphic elements because the shadows create those graphic elements there. Another one is rooms with openings to the outside. So if you have a room, let's say like a garage that goes to the outside, if the light will go from up and down, and the garage, because it's an opening, it will basically go left and right, allowing you to put the light right on your subject's face instead of having to deal with the light coming from above and then having to put a reflector underneath to bounce the light back or what have you. When the light is coming directly this way, gives you a lot of possibilities. So we look for locations that have horizontal lighting instead of vertical lighting. The next one is, do you find existing separations between subject and background? That could be color. For example, Amanda's wearing a yellow dress, so I could put her in front of a gray background. That would be a contrast, that would be a separation. Another one could be separation through light. You could put a light in the back, or the windows could give you lighting in the back, and that lighting will change the luminosity levels of the wall, giving you a contrast between the subject and the background. And the third one could also be just contrast of any kind. So color, light, things like this would work. The last one, and the most difficult one, the one that's probably the more difficult one to understand, is the reference point. And last night I thought about it and I wanted to explain that one more carefully. A reference point is crucial. Reference point, if you're gonna learn lighting and you wanna do it realistic, reference point is the part people miss. So I'm gonna spend a minute discussing this one. If you are by the beach and it's somewhat sunset, right? If you are in the beach and you put your couple or you put your fashion model or your high school senior in the beach, a lot of times we get excited about using our flashes and our toys or whatever, and you flash them with your light. Flash is daylight balanced. It's 5200K, 5500K, something like that. If you don't know what that means, it's the Kelvin temperature for light. The sun, or whatever the beach is doing, is like 7,000 temperature, or like it's something warmer or something, just like a warmer color. Let's say it's a sunset or whatever. The people love sunset photos in the beach. Yet, I see the sunset, and then I see the flash just blast the couple with daylight. And I'm just like, all right, you have a flash. That's basically what that says to me is, you own a flash, you know how to turn it on, and you know how to put it on your camera. And you know, I think the key is, what is the reference point of the ambience of the scene? For example, the light in the beach at sunset is warm. It bounces against tan-colored sand, making the light that bounces up even warmer, right? You have this warm feeling. So your flash has to come out in the same warm, beautiful tone. It doesn't have to be exact. Let me repeat that. It does not have to be exact, but you want it to sort of be in the same vicinity of what the situation is. In this place, for example, we have red walls, gray walls, and we have windows. Thank goodness for the windows, because the windows can give me a reference point, because the window is daylight balanced because it's daylight outside. So I don't have to worry about making my flash warm toned or yellow or red. I can just keep it white because the windows are a reference. If you were to put a subject here and you were to put that red wall in the back or whatever, and you see windows in the background, it would be believable to say the window light is illuminating your subject, even though it was actually your flash illuminating your subject. That's what a reference point is. It's what would make the lighting believable. I think that's a huge key. And also at the end of the day, we're going to spice up our pictures with some hot sauce. We're going to put some hot sauce on our photographs so they say something instead of saying nothing. I guess I was going to say my corn thing again, but it's like you don't want, I don't know, I eat popcorn with chili on it. I don't know if that's a normal thing. Okay, tapatio, popcorn, okay, you put it, it's delicious. Without it, it's no good. Popcorn has butter for a reason. It makes it taste better. So let's put some spices on your photography. So when people look at your website, it's like, wow, look at the lighting. Look at the beautiful posing. Look at the beautiful composition. I want you I don't want you to look like every other 2.5 million photographers in the world that just shoot natural light only. Try becoming a photographer, which means you play with all kinds of lights. Every light is part of your team. let's go ahead and get started with the most fun part of everything, the Speedlight section of this course. So, all right. You may have noticed yesterday I was shooting with Canon and Nikon cameras. Why do I shoot with both? Because I want to. Why do I want to? Because they're both excellent. That's why I want to. When people ask me, why do you prefer? It doesn't matter what I prefer, it's what you prefer. Canon, Nikon all do the same exact things. They're both beautiful cameras. They're just a tool. It's your brain that I'm after, not the tool. So here we have Nikon Speedlights, Canon Speedlights. The only difference between a Nikon Speedlight and a Canon Speedlight at the moment is that the Canon one has radio transmission, so it has basically a built-in pocket wizard inside, and this one doesn't. It's optical, so it's line of sight. However, the Nikon flash has a lot of features that the Canon flash doesn't have. So they both kind of go up and down, so it really doesn't matter. Okay. Speedlights, they're like the monster of photography. They're like the scary monster that comes and hunts you at night and wants to bite you, all right? It's like you dream of, I can just see yourself waking up and going to your husband or wife and be like, the Speedlight's after me again. The Speedlight is after me again. Can I cuddle with you or whatever it takes, right? They're not that scary. They're black boxes. They're a little computer inside, a little light, super friendly looking, pretty, good to go. Are these scary? No? Okay. All right, so let's talk about what a speedlight actually is. A speedlight is actually not a monster. Believe it or not, a speedlight is only a means to an end. It is something that you add to add a little kicker, a little influence. It's something that helps you when the light is not adequate. It's not going to make the natural light look flat. People think flash looks flat. It doesn't look flat at all. It looks just like normal light. It's just a normal light. So it's just a means to an end. It's not supposed to be anything else than that. You have a goal in your mind. You have a vision. The flash helps you execute that. Flash is also portable light. So if you are in a location where you need light, you don't have to bring the sun. That would be really heavy and hot. But you can bring your flash. Sorry, it was an early morning, 4 o'clock in the morning today, so, and 2 Red Bulls later. Okay, portable light. The third one is, this is actually the one where people in the chat rooms are gonna probably argue about. Speedlights are actually the same thing as natural light, okay? The only difference between a speedlight and natural light is the speedlight, it has a quick duration time, so it's a strobe, and natural light is continuous light. We'll talk about what that means. But the actual light that comes out of the flash is exactly the same energy as the sun. So when people say, I don't use flashes because I don't like the style, that also means I don't use natural light then, because they're both the same exact thing. So the flash also allows you to be in control of every situation. So if you are doing a heavy job with high stakes, or you just want to do a really good job, and you don't have windows, or you have a cloudy day or a rainy day, the flash puts you in control of whatever you want to do. If you understand it, you can do anything with it that a window can. It doesn't make a darn difference. It's a problem solver. Any problem, anything. If you have raccoon eyes, you can just put a flash on their eyes and you can just minimize the power. Super simple, put some light in their face. And the last one is the one that I'm known for. The flash is a tool that should be practiced. It's not a tool that, even after this class, you're going to listen to this class, you're going to listen to this class over and over, but at the end of the day, you're still going to have to take this course and you have to practice what I'm teaching you here. And you're going to have to experiment, and you're going to have to fail, and you're going to have to mess up, and you're going to have to redo it again, and that's totally cool. You saw my first photos of my first year yesterday. I wasn't exactly great either. So, okay. When I was thinking about how to teach the Speedlight class and get rid of the scariness, I thought there's really 2 things that make a Speedlight. The Speedlights go into 2 main groups, okay? 2 main groups. So let's see. This is really important. 2 groups for Speedlights. The first group is the Speedlight does the thinking for you. That's it. You can say, okay, you think, talk to me, tell me what to do, okay? And then you listen. And then he does it, okay? The second one is, I think for you, you be quiet. I do the thinking, you be quiet, okay? 2 categories. Flash, please do the thinking for me. I don't want to think, I have a headache. Option 2, Flash, I love you, but please be quiet. Let me do the thinking for you. Those are the two teams that the Speedlights play under. Easy? Pretty cool. The problem with the Flash in the world, I believe, whenever I ask questions about why this is so scary, it's really because of the first team, the team where the Flash thinks for you. As soon as the Flash thinks for you, all kinds of things starts to happen. You start getting into metering, matrix metering, spot metering, whatever metering, central weighted floor, piñata, pineapple metering. Like, I love everybody metering. It's like so weird, like all these names. And people are like, what the heck is the difference? Who cares? Like, the Flash is thinking for you, so it's trying to have a brain, it's trying to compute all these things, and it does it through all this metering, and the companies put all these cool names like center weighted and outdoor weighted, whatever the names are. It's just, it gets crazy. So I think the best thing to do, if you are in a rush, or people are walking towards you or away from you, or you're moving like crazy, let the Speedlight think for you. That's totally cool. But if you have 10 seconds to control something, it's probably better that you control the light. So those are the 2 camps, okay? As soon as the Flash starts to think for you, you are no longer really in control. You're going to start thinking, okay, you take a picture, it looks flat. You're like, I want less light. And you're like, less light, less light. And then you push the Flash exposure compensation, but you're nervous because you look weird, and then you miss the button, and then you try to tell it to go less flash. It doesn't have voice command. It's very difficult. And then you put it again, and the flash just zooms, it just puts light everywhere. You're like, no, I want light only here. And then the Flash just doesn't know what you want. So that's, I think, the main problem. So we're gonna move on. One more, absolute basics. Okay. Do we have Amanda anywhere ready? Okay. I probably think that should be connected. Let me connect that real quick. I don't know much, but I know this much. Not good. Okay? If you're home at watching and you already know some of this, great. Now you get to reinforce it. If you do not know this, or you have little holes in your knowledge of all this, this should probably fill those holes up and make it so super simple for everybody, okay? The first one is TTL. TTL is, we're gonna talk about the 2 camps. The 2 camps are, TTL is the camp where the Flash thinks for you. If you don't know what TTL means, it's through the lens. So basically these meters sends a pre-flash, I don't wanna talk technical stuff, sends a pre-flash, it sends information back, and it tells the camera how much light the Flash should put out. Okay, so I'm gonna turn it on. I'm gonna switch this to just TTL metering. Okay, it's a TTL metering. I'm just gonna let the Flash do its thing. This is camp 1. Camp 1 is Flash, do the thinking for me. Okay, and now Flash is in total TTL automatic. Whoa, that's totally trigger-friendly finger there. Okay, I'm gonna put my ISO at 200 just to kind of do whatever. I'm going to put my aperture at 4.0 and my shutter speed at 180. Okay, I'm going to take a picture of W, or Amanda, W, and I'll just show you. I'm not even gonna think. Ready? Watch this. I'm just gonna go. Okay, there you go. And look, the first picture, the exposure's dead on. Okay, let me see the exposure there, a little dark. Great. Now, if you're at home, you're saying, it's a pretty darn good exposure, it's a little bit dark. Why in the world do you guys think the exposure's almost there? The flash is doing all the thinking for you. So I look at the direction of the flash. I pointed it this way. I pointed it at wide angle, 24 millimeters on my lens. I'm at the widest my lens can go. The flash is doing all the thinking for me. The exposure's pretty good, but it's a little bit dark. Why do you think that is? Rachel, Austin, go ahead.
Is it because you're shooting towards the windows?
That is right. See, thank you. So if you are shooting W, she's great and all, but the lens is at 24 millimeters, so there's more of the scene than just her. Sorry, it's not all about you sometimes. Sometimes it's about the window in behind you. So if you turn the cameras just quickly towards that window behind her, that window is brighter than she is. So this is where it starts to get, this is where it starts to be like, okay, what's going on? So to make a long story short, the camera has to make a decision. How much light do I put out? The way it makes a decision is through the camera's metering system. The camera's metering system is programmed by really smart people, smarter than me, to tell the camera, grab everything in the scene and just eat it. Maybe that's not a good, don't eat it. Just grab everything, put it into like a putty, and then whatever, if it's too dark, make it lighter. If it's too light, make it darker. I want it to just be 18% gray, right? Gray. So if you have half white, half black on the exposure, it's just gonna be the camera will say, thank you, that's super easy, put them together, blah, 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 gray. But if you have yellow, black, skin tones, floor, and you have all these things, and then the camera says, wait a minute, there's a bright window outside, so there's a lot of light, therefore I don't need to go crazy with my flash, I don't have to go crazy because there's already plenty of light in the scene, so I'm just gonna make the flash almost there, but a little dark. If I was to put Amanda in front of another situation where there's no window, then the camera will say, okay, I see everything, there's no crazy window in the back or something super bright, so I don't need to do it. Let me do something kind of fun. I'm gonna put Amanda here in front of the light for the studio, and that's a really bright light. Is that okay? Totally? Okay, let's go in front of that light right there and turn towards me. And I'm going to point my camera at a bright light. You should already know the camera's going to say, okay, I have Amanda in front of me. It doesn't know her name, that was just me. Then the flash is going to say, wait a minute, there's a crazy bright light in front of her, so I'm going to turn myself way down. I don't need to go crazy. So let's see. Okay, let's take a look at that picture there. And you can see that it even underexposed it even more. The only reason why the exposure is still decent is because there's a bunch of black around it, and that black is kind of playing a role, okay? Remember, it's going to mix all the colors and put them into, trying to mix them into a gray. So let's try another one where the flash thinks for you. So can you stand, we don't have like a dark anything here, huh? Can you stand there? Stand right in between the windows, Amanda W. That's amazing. A little more this way. Okay, this should give us, actually there's a lot of dark tones in here, so the flash may go a little brighter this time, okay? So let's see. No, it went fine. Just to give me a normal exposure. Yeah, just a normal, nice exposure. So, let me see here. Why did you give me a normal exposure? Oh, there's a highlight on that thing. Move a little bit more this way, if you can.
Highlight on which thing?
There's a highlight on the metal.
Okay.
So that metal, that information of the height, the brightness of the metal got into the sensor, and it said there's something bright there, so I don't have to go and turn it down. Actually, there's a window here, so this will be a hard example because that's going to get into it too. Let me see if we can make it work. Yeah, that's almost a little bit too much light now. So, yeah, too much light and totally flat. Cool, cool. What's happening is I took away the window, I took away the highlight in the metal beam, and basically all he saw was her black hair, the red wall, her yellow dress actually made the kind of saved the exposure a little bit, and that's all good. Now, if it's so unpredictable, then why is it so hard? Why is it so, if it's unpredictable, why do people use it, right? Here's why. Because sometimes you don't have time to set up everything, and you don't have time to say, I want this amount of light. Sometimes you don't know what the starting point is, and you have 2 seconds to get a picture. Those are good moments to just to put it on TTL. Another good moment to put in TTL, for example, let's say she's walking towards me, right? She's walking out of my focal plane. So basically, she's getting closer to me and closer to me and closer to me. The closer she gets to me, the more the light's going to impact her. If this was on manual, if this was on straight manual, and she was 10 feet away from the camera, and then all of a sudden she was 5 feet away from the camera, and then 2 feet away from the camera, that light is never going to change. It's going to be a very powerful light hitting her. And every time she gets closer, she's just going to look totally blown out and totally blown out. If she walks towards me now, the flash will compensate for the distance every single time. So that is crucial if you are a wedding photographer and a bride is walking down the aisle and she's walking towards you. You can put this on TTL and just let the flash do the job for you. So you're not trying to take a step, hold on, bride, hold on. Let me turn the power down. Keep walking, keep walking. Take another one, turn the power down. Great, keep walking, keep doing this, you're doing great. Like, that's just gonna be horrible. So let's do a walk-in shot. I'm gonna have you, there's windows everywhere. Let's see. Let's start there, Amanda, and then we'll walk towards me. Start way back there, way back. Now, if you're watching online, you already know that there's a bright window in the background, so you can already estimate that it's going to be a bit of a dark exposure, okay? So, let's see. Go ahead and walk towards me. Good. Stop. Good. Continue. Stop. Good. Okay, if we look at those 3 photos, I don't know if we can do that, but if we look at those 3 pictures, you will see that the exposure was perfect every single time, or it was the exact same exposure every single time. See that? Let's take a look. Okay, perfect. The photo on the left has the most amount of window. Therefore, the flash said, this is really nice and bright. I don't need to work very hard, so I'm just going to put a little bit of light on Amanda, and that's it. The second picture, she fills up more of the frame. So less window shows up. So the flash says, okay, I see some window. I see her taking up about a quarter of the frame. I'm gonna put out this amount of light now and compensate for that. Then when she comes forward, the camera says, okay, now Amanda takes up 50% of the frame, and the window is only 50% of the other side, so I'm just going to put more flash. I'm going to put more flash to compensate for that because the window's so bright. So we have 3 different exposures that look pretty good. If that window wasn't there, if that was just like a clean wall, the exposures would have been pretty much identical, okay? So that's TTL for you. This is TTL trying to make everything into middle gray, okay? So that's pretty much, is there a question on that stuff?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, and I'm going to scoot, if you can scoot over so that I can.
Sorry.
Okay, awesome. People are asking about, still asking about what metering you're using in camera, trying to understand, well, where is it reading? Is it reading off of her face? Is it reading? So can you talk again about your in-camera metering?
So the metering questions, I usually stick to matrix metering, which means it basically evaluates the whole scene. These cameras are so advanced, both Canon and Nikon, that even if you have matrix metering or whatever, it's going to be smart enough to know, okay, I'm going to do matrix metering, but I'm going to put more emphasis on one section of the frame. That's why they have the ones called center weighted, which means it measures the whole scene but it puts more emphasis on whatever's in the middle, right? And then the whole output of the flash and the camera is based on what that little middle section reads, with only a little bit of influence of the rest of the scene. When you put a camera on spot metering, which is like a tiny little 3 to 5%, when you look through this, it's only going to say, okay, I have this entire frame, but I'm only going to look at 5% of that little frame, and I'm going to measure everything based on that little 5%. So then the camera and the flash talk to each other and say, forget the window, forget everything. I'm just going to look at the 5% circle in the middle of the frame, and I'm going to base my exposure based on that. The reason why I don't switch between matrix metering and center weighted and spot metering and all this other stuff is because I don't want my brain to have more work to do. I want it to be on evaluate the whole scene, and I will make the changes for you. Like I will say, for example, I can say, can you go back to the outer window there? Okay, right there's perfect. I can take a photo of her here and then say, I know you're going to think the scene is very bright because you see a big window, and I know that you're going to make the flash output very light because you say, I don't need much flash because the scene is already white, it's already there. So then, I know that. So I can say, I'm going to turn you, listen to me, and I'm going to turn you up 2 stops, okay? So I can take a picture of her now, and then look at the camera, look what the camera did now. Right? And then I can say to the flash, okay, flash, I got a little crazy. Let's go 1 stop only. Okay, so you do whatever you do, you think based on the scene, you do your own calculations, and then I'm going to tell you, once you're finished with your calculations, go 1 stop brighter, okay? And then you get this exposure. And I would say that's actually a proper exposure. Do you guys see how much thinking you have to do on TTL? Like, look at the questions that are coming in, like what metering do you use and all these different stuff. I mean, it's a lot of thinking. You're talking metering types, compensation of flash, how bright is the scene, how dark is the scene, how do I mix everything into a middle gray? It's like you have all these things that the camera is thinking in order to make an exposure. So that's TTL. It's used when you are walking someone's walking towards you, someone's walking away from you, when you're on a bind and you have to do something quickly, then just let the flash do something for you and take care of it that way. If you are slightly like confused, just think this. You have a brain, the flash has a brain. Your brain and the flash's brain work in 2 different ways. When you tell the camera, when you tell the flash to think for you, you're turning on the camera's, the flash's brain. And the flash's brain only thinks, I'm going to take whatever I see, and I'm going to put enough flash so when the exposures, when the luminosity levels or the brightness and darkness levels get mixed into a ball, that ball will turn into 18% gray. Is that cool? Super simple, right?